Welcome to Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Cary Quashen. My co-host would be Cary. Bruce.
Good morning, boss.
Hey there. Hey, you know what? Before I get into anything else, wishing Michael Doherty a speedy recovery. He has taken ill, but he's getting better quick. So I think he's going to be back here next week with us.
Excellent.
So, Michael Doherty, we love you. We miss you. Hope to see you soon. Families in Action is brought to you by your local hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. We've been on the air almost 13 years. So thank you, KHTS and the Goldmans, for allowing us to give our message out to the community. We sure appreciate it. We believe that knowledge is power, so we're trying to give a lot of knowledge out there so people can have a lot of power, huh?
Yes.
And also, it's brought to you by Action Family Counseling, which is alcohol and drug rehabilitation centers for adolescents and adults in different locations. We have everything from outpatient to intensive outpatient to residential treatment centers and interventions and whatever is needed at the time. And the Action Foundation, which is our nonprofit that goes into schools and does all kinds of stuff, that really good stuff. So we appreciate that. And you know, I'm just thinking about that. The Action Family Counseling and College of the Canyons. Everybody write this down. Wednesday, March 16th from 6 to 8. We're doing another seminar. It's called Drugs Kill. And again, that's March 16th, 2016, 6 to 8 at College of the Canyons at the Diane Van Hook University Center. And we'll be pushing that, talking a lot more about it, but we're going to go over all the drugs and mental health. So it's really something that everybody should attend. Yes?
Yes.
So again, the more we know about what's going on with drugs, the better. And you know what? I wanted to spend a minute. We've been talking about heroin and opiates every week in the beginning because every week we have some kind of an overdose, and it's just insane. And we're losing 50,000 lives minimum a year just in overdoses. That's not including suicides, car crashes, and anything else when it comes to drugs or people that are going in and out of prisons. That's just overdoses. Isn't that crazy?
It's unreal. Where I live too, they've been falling like flies, out of the program, and not just overdose and hospitalized, overdose and deceased.
Right. So, but I want to continue this conversation, and usually we bring our guests in after the conversation, but we're going to bring Karen in now, just because she's sitting here. I don't want you to go, wow, what are we talking about? But Karen is the founder and program director of Positively Waiting. Explain that to us, and I want to talk a little bit more about drugs and then get into our stuff.
All right. Positively Waiting is a nonprofit that focuses on challenging people to learn to exercise sexual self-control. Mm-hmm. It's the healthiest behavior when we can learn impulse control. It's true for food. It's true for anger. It also is true if we can learn to control sexual urges and to make choices that lead towards healthy relationship. And so my organization is trying to teach communities and teens and parents how to make smart and healthy choices so that they end up with loving, faithful relationships.
Very cool. And that's going to be really the topic of our show. I just want to take a little sidetrack for a minute, because as we say, we're talking about opiates, but you know what I want to talk about now? I want to talk about LSD acid. Because it's hit our community. I'm going to say make it a comeback. It's never went away, but it's starting to get popular again. And we've had a couple people that ended up in the ER in pretty big trouble because the LSD or the acid that is out there right now is extremely powerful and extremely dangerous. And most of these kids, they haven't fooled around with anything like that. And they're dropping this stuff, and they're really they're getting psychotic behaviors and just completely losing it.
My experience working with the kids recently that have come in with that, they do not believe LSD to be a hard drug. They think it is this, just kind of like recreational type of thing, and they don't grasp, they can go in a psychotic episode. They can go, well, that's what it induces basically.
Right.
And they may not come out of it for months, weeks, or permanently, and they don't grasp it. They think hard drugs are coke, methamphetamines, heroin.
Right.
They don't see the hallucinogens as being, that intense. And
yeah. We have two brothers in another city. Within a month, both of them overdosed on LSD, and they're both now living in a boarding care. One of them wearing diapers, and the other one just kind of all over the place. Because what happens, it messes with everything, but we all have these little neurons and stuff running around our bodies, and they kind of get electric shocked. And what LSD is, snaps it. And if it just if it shocks it just a little bit too much, our reality is gone.
And the concern is they don't respond to psychotropic medication, antipsychotics,
Exactly.
like somebody who is psychotic, and we can't pull them out of it.
In medication, if somebody's psychotic, and we have a great facility here, Henry Mayo's got a behavioral health unit. I'm the executive director of that. We have people coming in there with psychotic behaviors, or all the time, and we could get them on the right kind of medication, and they usually do pretty well. But when it's drug-induced psychosis from something like LSD, a lot of times medication won't touch it.
It's organic damage, is what they say sometimes. That part of the brain is damaged, the cells, the everything, and it just won't respond to any kind of new drugs that we're trying to help them with.
So it's really pretty scary what's going on out there right now. I mean, parents, that's why we're doing this seminar, Drugs Kill, because drugs do. And I'll tell you what, 50,000 lives are lost every day. I believe that all drug abuse starts innocently.
Sure.
It starts innocently. First it's a cigarette, and then it's I'll never use drugs. Well, it's only pot. It's not a drug. Well, okay, I'll smoke a little bit of pot. Well, okay, it's only pot. I won't use other drugs. And all the other drugs are drugs of opportunity. And with the opiates and the crystal meth and the LSD now that's out there, we better pay attention to what's going on with our children, because once they start breaking their contracts, things happen. And that's true with drugs. That's true with sex. That's true with everything. That's one of the reasons why we had asked Karen to be here. Karen, we got all kinds of stuff to talk about. And we have all kinds of statistics, but let me throw a statistic at you, okay?
Okay.
This is what I found, is when it comes to teenagers, the average parent spends how much time, Jerry, I'm going to ask you, she probably knows, how much time do you think the average parent spends talking to their adolescent?
Per week or per day?
Per day.
18 minutes.
I'm finding it's between 2 and 10 minutes.
Wow.
And here's what I'm
4 and
finding.
10 is what I've heard.
What?
Yeah. 4 and 10.
4 and 10, 2 to 10, same thing. How was your day? It was good. How was school? It was okay. Do you have any homework? I done it. Are you hungry? I ate. And that's really how it goes in most homes. What is the last thing a 13 or 14-year-old girl or boy does before they go to sleep? Very, very last thing they do.
Oh, well, now it's probably text somebody.
It's some kind of social media.
Yeah,
Check
sure.
their phone.
Snapchat, it's Instagram,
Wow,
or whatever it is. That's every kid.
Yeah.
So here's what they do. They go in their room. They're ready to go to sleep. They go to sleep with their friends. They wake up in the morning. What is the very, very, very first thing they do before they even use the restroom?
Just check social media.
Check their social media. So now they go to sleep with their buddies. Now they wake up with them.
Right.
Then we spend a minute with them in the morning, getting in their whatever breakfast or whatever it is, right? And we get them to school. If we gave them driving, most of the time they get their own way. Mm-hmm. So they go to school. Who are they with?
Again, with their peers.
And they come home. In most homes, if there's a mom and dad even living together, they're both at work in most homes. So who's waiting for these little kids?
Again, it's the whole social media or actually bringing their pals home.
Exactly. So if not in real person, in real life,
Right.
they still have social media where they're looking and talking and
Exactly.
they're Instagramming or they're FaceTiming. So they're with their friends now. Wow, let me think this through. They go to sleep with their friends. They wake up with their friends. They go to school with their friends. They come home to their friends.
Yeah.
We come home and have that 2-minute conversation. Maybe you're in some homes 18 minutes, but in most homes 2 minutes. How was your day? It was good. How was school? It was fine. Any homework? I'd done it. Hungry? I ate. Right back to the room. Doing what? Social media. So check this out. We get 2 to 10 minutes. They get 16 plus hours with their friends. Now you can help me with this. I believe there's 3 categories of children.
Okay.
Category number 1, no matter what kind of a dad or mom we are, they're level-headed kids.
Okay.
They're not going to have sex. They're not going to use drugs. They're not going to drive fast. They're not going to fight. They're going to go to school, get good grades, and they kind of know where they want to go. That is a category.
Right.
Might not be the largest, but it's one of the categories.
Say 20%.
Yeah. The next category, and this is also a 20%er. No matter what kind of a parent you are, your kids are high maintenance kids. They're going to get themselves in trouble. They're going to ditch school, use drugs, have sex, act crazy, right?
Right.
There is those kids. And those kids, we just got to really stay on them and really work it.
Right.
Otherwise, they really get in trouble until some kind of maturity, which could be at 18 or 48. You never know with those individuals.
Or at least when their brain finishes developing at 25.
26, yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes their brains don't quite develop at that age.
Because of all the drugs and alcohol
Because
they
of
did
all the
that
drugs
retarded.
and
Sure.
exactly. So those are high-risk kids. That's another 20%. And now the next group of kids are what are the largest category. And they're what you call your fence sitters. What does that exactly mean?
They can go either way.
They can go either way. So all those kind of crazy things that we hear from parents, I mean, out there, families that eat together, families that play together, families that pray together, those families do well, right?
Yeah, right.
Problem is, they're spending 16 hours with who?
Their
their
friends.
Yeah.
And 2 to 18 minutes, I'll give you that, with their parents. So the kids that we're losing today to drugs and alcohol, sexual behavior,
Right.
and all that kind of high-risk behavior are the fence sitters that we might not have lost 20 years ago.
Absolutely, because we had a culture that supported all of the same values, and we don't have that anymore. We have very much, I'm not going to mess with your family, you don't mess with mine.
Right.
And it's much harder for parents to be the only guiding force when maybe school isn't supporting it, or other adults in their life, coaches aren't supporting it necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Not making it more difficult, just I'm not going to go into that area.
Right. And then we talk about social media and peer pressure.
Spears.
So, think about it. When we were kids, we had peer pressure.
Sure.
There was drugs around. People wanted to have sex. There was all kinds of stuff. Today's peer pressure is what we had on steroids.
Absolutely.
Literally on steroids, because it's all over the internet now. I mean, and we're talking a little bit about sex today. These phones here. If I typed in the word porn, what's going to come up?
Oh, several million, maybe billion responses.
Several million, at least, of the most hardcore sexual stuff there is.
Right.
And how much does it cost to watch it?
Nothing.
A lot of it's free.
And we have 12-year-old, 11-year-olds, 13-year-old kids with these phones. I'm not saying to take their phones away.
It's not effective.
Right.
I'll be honest, it's not effective.
No. But our kids have, I believe, so much more peer pressure today
Right.
than they ever had for any of those negative behaviors, the sex, the drugs, the whatever.
Right.
And the scary part of it is it's all here. And we're spending less and less time with our kids.
Well, and it's also because of what happens during adolescence in terms of brain development, the neural pathways that they're creating that are going to hardwire them as an adult are being laid down in this season.
Right.
So the things they do repetitively, social media, looking at porn, that becomes a 6-lane superhighway.
Right.
Conversation with mom and dad about doing chores, well, it happens once a day, once a week.
When we get
it's a
frustrated.
deer trail. It's a deer trail. So
Right.
they're not going to be as autopilot, as muscle memory, as always going to this behavior to feel good, whether it's sex or drugs or porn or whatever it might be. Their brains are being hardwired to do that as adults.
Right.
And correcting that takes way more effort now than it did when we were.
Of course. And let's take action. Our Tuesday night group. Parents bring their kids there when their kids are in trouble.
Right.
And now we have to kind of convince these kids that whatever behavior they've been doing for the last couple of years, because they're kids,
Right.
isn't real good for them.
They need to put the brakes on, and that was one that you talked about earlier. Was the impulse and being able to
It's
stop the
huge.
impulse. But that connection between go and stop is an interconnected system, but everything they're getting now is instant gratification on their phones. Boom, it's there.
Right.
Everything's at a push of a button now. Boom, 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 instant gratification. So that delayed reward is not there for them. It's instant gratification, instant reward, and we talk with them about delayed rewards and finding other ways to
Delayed
not
gratification is a concept you just don't hear much about
No.
at all anymore.
With
And yet,
anybody.
it's an incredibly important skill to have as an adult.
Right.
Just your ability to say, I'm going to work harder for this big goal down the road. It's simple, basic. They don't have it. They get to work, their first job, and they think, well, I'm going to run the show here, right? I mean, isn't that why you hired me? Because I'm special and wonderful. They have no concept of delayed gratification and the reward that comes.
No, and you know what? Due to the lack of, and I'm not blaming anybody.
It's everybody.
Right, it's everybody.
everywhere.
But due to the lack of involvement of parents and that kind of stuff, and how do we deal with our children? We give them anything they want now. Okay, go to the movies. Okay, here's some money. Okay, I'll buy you this. Because it's a lot of times parents feel guilty.
Sure.
Because they don't spend enough time with them, so they want to buy happiness. And yes, you can buy happiness, but in the long run, it backfires.
Well, you don't get the skill level when
Right.
you do that.
You're cheating
that
the
your
kids.
child would from earning it.
And it's easier to reward them that way as opposed to having the argument or the fight about why they can't go or why you don't want them to go. It's just pay them off and let them go.
And that's really true today, anyways. Because when it comes to parenting, parents don't want to do what they need to do because they don't want the kids to be mad at them because they get them for such a short period of time every day. Anyways, they want that time to be good.
Sure.
So everybody's kind of getting cheated. But if you go to a restaurant and you walk through the restaurant, even when people are together, they're not together anymore. The moms are checking their
hard to
Facebook.
see.
The dad's texting whoever it is that they want to text. The kids are definitely texting their friends.
Right.
So it's really becoming to be an issue, and I think that's why we're seeing an incline in so much drug abuse and sexual activity. I'm reading some of the statistics here, and it says that sexual activity has gone down. I don't see that.
Well, here's the thing. It all depends on how you define sex.
Okay.
There are many riskier behaviors
Today.
that kids engage in.
Right.
Anything that doesn't lead to an actual baby is not considered sex.
Right.
And there's a lot of behavior that doesn't lead to babies, but produces a wide range of other difficult challenges as their brains are developing and they're trying to figure out how relationships work. And what I'm finding is young adults, I talked to them maybe, when they were 14, 15, and now they're 24, 25, and they're saying, I don't know how to have a relationship. Everybody I know falls into a relationship in a physical way and then tries to add the other skills to it.
Right.
And it gets messy because none of us know what we're doing. And then you realize I'm having lots of physical relationships that aren't satisfying. They're not going where I want them to go. And it starts with those
they're looking
younger
for
choices.
love in the wrong places. They're looking for instant gratification. And, when it comes to sexual activity, obviously there is an instant gratification, but it's a very short-lived.
Sure.
And then you got to deal with the baggage of all that.
Yes. The challenge is, to some degree, for young women, because of the oxytocin, the bonding hormones that are produced, even though there is a short-lived satisfaction, that bonding is going to stay.
Right.
She's going to bond to who she touches.
Exactly, which is
And
different for
very
males.
different for males. Very different for males.
It's March. It's Talk to Your Kids About Sex Month, isn't
About
it?
sex month, yeah.
And that's it. And Karen's here with us, and hey, we're going to be right back. We're getting ready to go on break. This is a show you don't want to miss, and I'll tell you what, I know that when I talk to parents, one of the hardest things for them to do is talk to their children about sex. So we're going to
Doesn't have to be, though.
But no, exactly.
It doesn't have
So
to
we're going to give you some great information today that you'll be able to take home and use with your children.
Yes.
This is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.